Fourth aliyah for Parsha Re'eh. Aleph. From Deuteronomy chapter 14, Devarim chapter 14, verse Aleph. You are children of the Lord your God. You shall neither cut yourselves nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. So when somebody dies, you're not supposed to make yourself like bald. I guess really they mean between your eyes. I think it means here, not like in like where you put your tefillin, not literally between your eyes. You're not supposed to cut yourself like when you're sad. For you are a holy people to the Lord your God, and the Lord has chosen you to be a treasured people for him out of all the nations that are upon the earth. We're an Am Kadosh. This is why. This is the whole reason why we do everything, is we're an Am Kadosh. You shall not eat any abomination. These are the animals that you may eat: the ox, the lamb, and the kid, meaning a goat, baby goat. The gazelle, the deer, the antelope, the ibex, the cameos, the bison, and the giraffe. And every animal that has a split hoof and has a hoof cloven into two sections, and choose the cud among the animals that you may eat. So those are all the mammals that we're allowed to eat. So if it has to have simanim, symbols, it has to have a split hoof and a hoof cloven in two sections, and it has to chew its own cud. But you shall not eat of those that chew the cud or those that have the split hooves. The cloven one, for example, the camel, the hyrax, and the hare, for they chew the cud, but they do not have split hooves, and they are unclean for you. So this has nothing to do with whether or not we could cook something or not. Because obviously we could cook a gazelle just as much as we could cook an. Everybody's like, oh, we don't eat certain foods because they're unclean and like we're going to get sick from eating them. No, we know how to cook things. We know how to prepare food. It's just certain animals we're not allowed to eat. And the pig, wah, 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 the pig. Everybody points out, like the trichinosis, that's why you don't eat the pig, because of trichinosis. No, that's not why we don't eat pig. We don't eat pig because it has a split hoof, but it does not chew the cud. It has one of the two. That's it. That's the only reason. It's unclean for you. You should not eat of their flesh nor touch their carcass. So when a pig dies, you're not allowed to touch it. That includes all the other non-kosher animals. So they're like, let's say you're driving on the side of the road and you see like a dead animal there, not supposed to touch it. These you may eat of all that are in the waters, all that have fins and scales you may eat. So it doesn't have fins and scales, you're not allowed to eat it. That's like eliminates a lot of things that are in the ocean. Not allowed to eat turtle. Not allowed to eat all kinds of shrimp and squid and octopus and all these things. That crabs. We're not allowed to eat crabs, not because they're dirty and bottom feeders and they're dirty animals. Or not. No, and we don't know how to cook them, which is total BS. Because obviously we know how to cook things. It's because God told us not to. But whatever does not have fins and scales, you should not eat. It is unclean for you. It doesn't mean clean like whether or not the animal itself is clean. It just means it's not good for your soul, for your nefesh. You may eat every bird, every clean bird. So every bird that's kosher, we're going to find out. But of these are those from which you shall not eat. So now we're going to talk about the birds we're not allowed to eat. The eagle, which is like the griffith kind of vulture, and also the eagle itself. The ossifrage and the osprey. The white vulture and the black vulture and the kite after its species. And every raven after its species. And the ostrich and the owl and the gull and the hawk after its species. Not allowed to eat ostrich, really? Okay. The falcon and the ibis and the bat, and the pelican and the magpie and the cormorant. These are different types of birds I'm not allowed to eat. The stork and the heron and its species, and the hoopoe and the atalef. I thought the atalef was a bat. No, what is the atalef? So some of these animals we don't really know what they are anymore, and there's some rabbis who really specialize in identifying these animals. But basically, most birds we're not allowed to eat. Every flying insect is unclean for you; they may not be eaten. You may eat any clean fowl. So any bird that is clean, which technically, generally speaking, we have a Masorah for those. But basically, chickens and pigeons and ducks. Certain ducks we're allowed to eat. Now we're allowed to eat. There's certain birds we're allowed to eat. Duck, I mentioned not all ducks, but most ducks. You shall not eat any carcass. So any animal, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a kosher animal. If you see a non-kosher, if you see a kosher animal that's dead on the side of the road, you're not allowed to eat it. I mean, unless you're dying. I mean, obviously, if you're dying of starvation, then you're allowed to eat. You're allowed to eat anything to live. You may give it. You may give it to the stranger, like so. Non-Jews, like they can eat it. You can give it to them if they like it. But they're own, you could give it to whoever likes that kind of stuff. He or she may eat it, and you may sell it to a foreigner. You can actually sell it too. For your holy people to the Lord, you should not cook a kid in its mother's milk. So this is the milk and meat thing. You're not supposed to eat them cooked together.